Holy crap. We're back at it again. After a couple of months living our lives and watching the Flames transactions this summer, the Flaming Puck is back in action. A division of the Dynamo podcast network, available on YouTube, most of the audio formats, pretty much all the audio formats. As always, I'm joined by my two partners in crime. Got Ian, the Irish Bomb Kelly. Got Dylan, the Ginger Troll Simpson. You know who he is. And of course, I am Chris. You can call me Daddy Ruback. All three of us are also admins on the Flames Hub. So join us there. Join us on the Flaming Puck on Facebook. Obviously, we want everybody to start following Flaming Puck on YouTube. That's the bread and butter, baby. That's where you get all your information from us fans that are just talking shit, having a good time, doing it every week, sometimes twice. Let's do it 4 times this year. Anyways, this episode after how long we've been off, guys? About 4 months? No, it's only been two and a half months, we'll say. I think it was what was it? Expansion draft.
Yeah,
that was our last time interacting with our Flaming Puck people. We've got lots to talk about today as training camp is underway. Super excited about the season coming up. You know, we're going to talk about some additions, some subtractions over the summer. It's going to be great. Also, Dylan likely has a couple other topics, such as, because he's a big training or AHL guy, and he loves his kids coming up. So you don't want to miss any of that. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. So also we want to talk about where we think the Flames are going to end up at the end of this 21-22 season. So without further ado, Dylan, why don't you get us started?
Well, we just finished rookie camp, so let's start with that. A lot of people have been saying for quite a few years that the Flames kind of don't have a very deep pipeline, which was true, I think, for a few years there. We kind of sold a lot for Hamonic and blah, 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 blah. But I think at this point in time, after watching the rookie games and just seeing more of the guys that we don't get to see as much because they're in junior or in the AHL, and those aren't televised as much, especially where I live. But I think we really actually have a fairly deep pipeline. There's some really interesting and really intriguing prospects coming up that not a lot of people really talk about. Did you guys have any standouts from the games that you watched? Or
Francis was a guy. I mean,
obviously,
Francis was a guy that I kind of.
That's right. That's Eric Francis' son, right?
No,
I agree with you, Ian. Francis looked great.
Ryan Francis looked absolutely great, and I can't remember exactly what his draft was, but it was fairly late in the draft.
It was. I think it was 5 or 6, or maybe 4th or 5th. Sorry, maybe not that high, but I think it was like 4th or 5th or 6th. But between 4th and 6th,
yeah. He is looking like a pretty promising prospect.
He is.
Martin Pospisil as well as just looks like an absolute beast in front of the net, and
he's a unit, man.
Fairly big as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that I take away from the 2 games, at least that we had the privilege of watching this year, is Dustin Wolf. He has the ability to be really, really good. He's super athletic, which is just code for saying he's not as tall as all the other goalies in the league. But I think as fans, we need to somewhat temper our expectations.
Yep.
Everybody seems to think he's ready to start this season. He's not. He's too.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think that Dustin Wolf is going to be a valuable piece that can be used somewhat in the future. I don't mean to kind of piss on anybody's bonfire or anything like that, but I don't see it. I do see exactly what people see in him. He's definitely valuable. I think he
Totally.
adds something to certain teams. I think under what we have at this moment in time, the pieces that we have, I don't see what Dustin Wolf brings to a Calgary Flames. I can see what he might bring to, another team that might be willing to give up some assets for him in future years. But I personally don't, I don't think
I agree.
Without cutting across you guys, I don't see him as the natural progression, or successor to Markstrom, personally.
Well,
No,
I don't
no,
think the
not yet.
timing works very well on that, honestly, just because by the time Wolf will be ready, or if he even is ready,
Sure, yeah,
Markstrom is still going to have most likely 2-ish years left on his contract, and it's not the best plan to just have your split like if you're gonna split games, like if they're gonna split games, it's not the best idea to have a $6 million guy as a splitter with a rookie, right? Like,
Yeah, you don't want your $6 million guy being a 1A, 1B situation.
And then you don't want to put your rookie under the pressure of being the guy to fill in the gaps.
Yeah,
but at the
exactly.
time,
in 3 years, I truly believe he'll be ready to be back up and start getting NHL reps.
Mm-hmm.
But I think between now and then, best case scenario this year, he's the number one goalie in Stockton.
I think he'll probably kind of 1A, 1B with Werner.
Werner, yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it'll be a 1A, 1B type thing, which is good. Get him the reps at the level, and then it needs to be a progression. We just can't keep rushing people into the NHL just because we like what they've done in the WHL. Right? I mean, it's a good league, but it's obviously not the same caliber.
And we only watched 2 games of him. Like I've seen all sorts of highlights from when he was in Everett. I watched a whole bunch of the junior US games because I was very intrigued about him, even though he didn't play much. I think he only played 2 or 3 games, but I can't remember because that was last Christmas. But
the Silver Tips will have a different name by next year.
but he also he looks very confident from the 2 games that we just finished watching, but he also he had a rocky first or third period that one game, and it's to be expected. He's a young kid. He's
that's right. I mean, you're right. He was pretty confident, playing for Everett. I mean, I get that, but of course you are when you're putting up the numbers like that, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you start putting up numbers like that, you get the confidence, and they both just kind of feed off each other, right? Which is great. But the one thing I do want to, as far as myself, anyways, watching those 2 games, and any sort of excitement, I see, which is good. I mean, there is excitement there, and I'm happy with the guys that are coming. But we also have to think, like, we were just playing a really bad Edmonton squad as well.
Yeah, and they were like, Edmonton's pipeline is borderline dead.
Yeah, Chiarelli gave it all away, right?
Like they basically have fucking Broberg, and that's it.
And exactly, we controlled 10 minutes of the first game and then completely shit the bed for the remainder of the 50, right?
Yeah.
So, like, yes, we've got some good things
classic
coming,
Flames fashion,
right? But they've got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Even the guys that were involved in that first game, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to ever make NHL money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. And it's a prospects game. It's how it should be.
That's right. It's to be expected, for sure.
It's not. But
I do think, Dylan, you probably agree as well, though, that it definitely does. It kind of like it puts a lot of these kind of people that are kind of climbing and kind of almost fucking screaming for these prospects to be put in ahead of seasoned players. It puts them in their place a little bit, because Peltier for sure, within 2 or 3 years' time, I think is going to be a great player.
Have players who are ready or who are borderline ready, but none of those guys played in maybe Zari might be, maybe Peltier might be, but that's
there too
still a couple of years away in my estimation. But
yeah, agreed.
The guys
Francis looks like the
have,
most ready to me, to be fair.
The Goddins and the Ruziska and all of those guys,
Sure.
they're not in the rookie game because they've played, I think they've both played 2 full AHL seasons at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's not what I'm saying. And again, I'm not like kind of shitting on the Heat, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not no pun intended whatsoever. What I'm saying is, I think somebody like what Chris said. I think someone like Wolf in particular, who's like our big prospect that a lot of our fan base is kind of pining for.
There's way too many people in the comment sections of every other Flames related thing saying, start Wolf. And no, the kid's not ready.
Not ready yet. He's not ready yet. And he's not going to be ready for another 2 or 3 years. And look, even in 2 or 3 years, he could be used as a piece to get somebody else. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Yeah.
No, I
exactly
agree with you.
You have to be realistic.
Yeah.
You have to, especially with goalies.
Yeah,
especially
because like goalies don't have the pleasure of having 4 other guys on the ice to mask their deficiencies.
Yeah.
Right.
And
if you put Wolf as a starter or even as a backup in the NHL right now, it's going to ruin his career. It's going to ruin every little bit of confidence he's ever had.
I would say one thing as well, Dylan. I don't know whether you would agree with it or not. I know we've got a lot of we're kind of top heavy in the forward prospect line in terms of, Zari, Ruzicka, Godin.
Yeah,
and Peltier.
There's not a whole lot of
defense. Yeah, I don't see a lot.
Kuznetsov and Poirier. We just signed Poirier today, but again, both of those guys,
offensive. He's very offensive.
See them he's very offensive, and Kuznetsov is very defensive, and I see them being a really, really good pairing in Stockton for the next 2 or 3 years, and then maybe we'll see.
Yeah, especially with how young the defense is for the Flames, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that Shillington is a NHL regular in 5 years from now.
Yeah, he could be. Who knows?
We're all hoping for that. We're all hoping for that, Chris. All I would say on that note is just don't hold your breath.
No.
Yeah.
No, I feel like he's going to be playing the KHL in 3 years.
Like he could go to Florida like Sam Bennett and do pretty okay. I'm only kidding. I'm one yoke, Dylan. It's been too long.
You'd light it up there.
I don't see any of these young guys like Sutter's here for another 3 full years or 2 full years.
Two full.
Well, it's 2 full years from this season. It's 2 full years. So for the next 2 years, we've got Sutter, depending on what happens, next season.
Yeah, and be like good segue into the next kind of thing we're going to talk about. But with all the guys that we've signed, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, and we're bound to sign, some of them again next year or similar style guys, especially if Sutter's still around.
Mm-hmm.
We have how many 13th forwards right now and how many 7th defensemen right now? None of these kids are going to get in until Sutter's gone.
Yeah, and Connor Mackey is like already ahead of them in the pecking order.
And Connor Mackey is skating in the training camp right now with the Stockton guys, even though he signed a one-way deal.
I know.
He's already the 7th defenseman, which is weird. But
Brad really loves spending money that he doesn't own, doesn't he?
Great. Well, he loves signing low-end guy. Like he's so good at the $800,000 to $1 million contracts, and by he's good at it, he just does it all the freaking time. Like he doesn't bring in things that we need. He just this guy's cheap.
That is a good time to talk about this because Dylan kind of set us up perfectly there for the segue into who we signed. So obviously there's been a lot of back and forth. People that know me know that I'm not exactly Brad's biggest fan, but when credit is due, I will give him that, like we did on the previous episodes. I think one thing before we get into the
did we? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I know. But we all expected Brad to kind of do something this year, and he's kind of come out with the usual. I think what really annoys, listen, Brad, he's a fucking human being at the end of the day. But I think what really annoys a lot of Flames fans is that he comes out with the same kind of garbage talk all the time.
Yeah,
and he doesn't.
And some of it's true though.
Like
he did
100,
say,
100%. But this is the problem. I agree. Some of it is true. And, for example, I will say it straight away. One thing that is true is like it's not easy to get players to Calgary and markets like Calgary unless you're going to spend absolutely astronomical amounts of money.
Yeah, maybe a little bit extra money, but it's also hard. Like as far as trading players and getting players back, it takes two to tango, right? In some cases, it even takes
100%.
three when you have your 3-team deals.
100%.
Like trying to get rid of Monahan, which is what kind of we were all thinking he should do or whatever. Who's going to take a $6 million guy who just came off 2 surgeries, who and 2 off like bad seasons, who's going to take that?
And Dylan, to play devil's advocate as well, if Brad had have made that brave move, like gotten rid of someone like a Kachuk and a Valimaki or something like that, all in one deal,
come and bite him in the ass.
To get someone like an Eichel, we would have the same fan base giving out about Brad then, saying we're out to get rid of Kachuk. Why didn't we get rid of Monahan? Because people assume that it's as easy as like, NHL 21 or NHL 22 on EA Sports, and it's not that way. So
yeah,
I do think Brad sometimes is kind of a little bit, what's the word?
Thrown under the bus.
Yeah, he's thrown under the bus, but at the same time, he doesn't do himself any favors. So you got to be 50-50 with Brad in this one.
That's true. I mean, yes, he's thrown under the bus in the aspect of every transaction that the Flames do has to go through the owners first.
Yeah.
So Brad doesn't have that free reign like most general managers do in the NHL. He's not allowed to make decisions without getting the okay from guys like Murray Edwards and mostly Murray Edwards, right?
Yeah.
Who knows zero about hockey.
So this is something that that I've heard lots about from you specifically and from like a couple of other fans, but I've never really like seen an article or heard from like a sports personality until the other day. Actually, I kind of heard.
Really? So
was it Chris Johnston? I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was one of the guys anyways, and they were like just saying how sometimes you have to, like, as a general manager, you kind of have to go through other levels of management or of ownership in order to get there. And they named off a couple teams. Buffalo, because the thing I was listening to was about Eichel. And so they named Buffalo, and they named like 3 or 4 other teams, and Calgary was one of them. Mm-hmm. So that's the first time I've ever you've been talking about it for years, but I've never really heard it.
So Jay Feaster strongly hinted at it after we left Calgary.
Okay.
Like very strongly. Jim Playfair, same thing.
Okay.
Sutter was allowed to do more of what he wanted just based on his pedigree, where he's from, where he's where he lives and all that fun stuff. He's definitely given more leeway than the others, I believe. Mm-hmm. But there's been 3 for sure that have left Calgary that have said the exact, hinted at the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, not necessarily come out and say it because they can't, right? There's no way they can.
They're not allowed to. Yeah,
that's right. So, but there's been plenty of hints about it, and if you look at the transactions that have been made over, I mean, I'm going to say 20 years, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it totally makes sense. Like right now, we have the highest paid player right now. What is he? $7 million.
Yeah,
with Kachuk.
Yep.
So obviously he's the highest paid player we've ever had, as the cap goes up. But but as far as percentage of the cap, he's the highest we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like they're just not allowed to spend that money to find that guy, which is weird, because if you look at perennial playoff teams and teams that are actual contenders, they pay a guy or two to to make that happen.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. They, we haven't had a legit number one center.
Like how much is Stamkos Kucherov point? Blah 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 blah. How much?
I think the problem though, as well, is I think we give Brad a little bit of a pass on this as well. He's not willing to move on people. I mean, for example, he gets to the end of the gun and he doesn't pull the trigger. Yeah, that's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Like, he's a bit scared when it comes to.
It could have been very easy for him to say to Gaudreau this year, right? You're not willing to sign with this team. Well, then I don't fucking want you. Goodbye. There we go. You're going wherever I tell you to go, and then you can sign for whoever you want when your contract is up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I think he's too friendly with these guys. You know what I mean? So there's bad.
I fear that we're going to lose Gaudreau for nothing.
Yeah, we will. We will.
One thing that today on the Rintoul show, they had Mark Spector, who's Oiler, right? And one of the things he was talking about is Gaudreau, and how he says that Flames fans, what do you say, like we overvalue him, and Brad's unable to trade him right now, or because he's wanting a better return than what Mark figures Gaudreau's worth.
They must not, like, these guys must not be in the Facebook groups that we are, because I don't think. I mean, sure, there's a few Flames fans out there that overvalue him, but I think there's a lot of Flames fans that know, maybe he's not. I think most Flames fans are kind of at the point where it's like maybe he's not, this absolute be all end all guy who's going to bring us a cup. He's just
he's not a consistent 99-point player. You know what I mean?
No, he's a consistent 70-point player, which is a great thing.
He's one of the best complementary players in the league.
Yeah.
Right? I'll give him that. But no, you don't build your team around Johnny Gaudreau.
No.
Because it's not the brand of hockey we play in the West. Even that's changed, right? Like 10 years ago, we used to talk about the West is tough, and it's not.
It's not.
It really isn't. The game has changed so much. There's no more tough hockey. It doesn't exist.
It's all fast. Like look at Tampa. Like, sure, they have Hedman and they have Maroon and blah 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 blah. But they also have, like, their top players are not grinders. Their top players consistently winning cups with speed and skill.
Yes. Brandon Point, for example, I look at him as a center. I mean, I love the kid. I'm sure you guys do as well. But I mean,
you brought him up a few times, and you're right. He's a great player.
Yeah,
I'd
love to have him.
He's a stud.
He's just a complete center for me. You know what I mean? It's not like he's not putting up the numbers that McKinnon does and whatnot. The team doesn't need to be built around someone like him, because he's playing in a team full of, just absolute superstars, I suppose.
Well, that's just it, really. Like their top six on forward is, I mean, like there's not a single player on the Flames that would make their top six.
No. However, I do
Probably
think
not.
I think this year,
You think?
I think Kachuk
It would be second line.
This year, I think Kachuk could. I mean, I really fancy Kachuk to have.
He better. He's got to get his shit together. Like, even in his interviews right now, like, he looks like a grumpy prick. And
but
I don't know
but in a good way. I think he looks a grumpy.
But
prick
is it though?
Way.
Like he looks disinterested to me.
See, Ian and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Chris. Like, I see that he wants to win, and there's no doubt in my mind that's in his DNA. Like,
100%.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
That's what that family's like. But from his interviews, from the body language I see so much like disinterest in, like he just kind of like he is the guy that I want to build the team around. But if he doesn't fucking want to be here, then we need to get the value. You know 100%. What I mean? Because he is worth a fucking ton. But
that's right, and he's up at the end of this year, right? So if that has already gone south, Brad needs to deal with it.
Yeah, but dude, this is what I'm saying. This is what we do as hockey fans, though. We read too much into what we see on. Listen, Daryl Sutter looks like he wants to be anywhere else other than managing a hockey team. So this,
yeah, but we've also never seen Daryl Sutter smile, whereas weve seen Tkachuk.
Yeah, but the point I'm going to make about Chucky is wait until we see the first 5 games.
Yeah.
Forget about his fucking interviews. Do you know what I mean?
No, but like as far as his play is concerned, 100%, yes, I agree. We'll know very early on what Tkachuk we're going to have this season.
Yep. Absolutely.
But one of the things that really kind of freaks me out is the interview he just had in regards to his brother's contract.
And then he said it's in our DNA that we're going to hold out.
Yeah. And that we need to be paid what we're worth. Does he have a skewed, assumption sense of exactly.
Yeah.
Just because he's in the limelight and all the people talk about he's our next captain, he's the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread. Well, sorry, there, Chucky. The last 2 seasons you haven't been. You got to get your shit together. And
the only thing I'll say, Chris, even on last season, even though it was a different kind of hockey season, his numbers were still pretty good in terms of when you look at his numbers were still pretty good. And don't forget, he's looking at someone like Brad Treliving, who's overvaluing the likes of Monty and Johnny, but yet undervaluing people like Mangiapane and offering them shit and peanuts. So the likes of Mangiapane are his buddies. And he's saying to himself, I'm just saying hypothetically. He's saying to himself, and this is the culture, in my opinion, that Brad has created. So forget about like Brad not pulling the trigger on this guy and that guy. This is where my real problem lies with Brad Treliving. Is that he's created a culture here that certain guys are going to be valued higher than other guys, yet the guys that are actually the boots on the ground that are putting more effort in, which Chucky was one of those guys, even when money wasn't hitting the numbers.
He used to be, for sure.
Exactly.
Last year, I found it to be very sulky and
100%.
Injuries
but I also
aside
think,
or whatever. But
I think Gio gone as well, though, is going to be a big fucking.
It has the ability, right? I think being surrounded by guys that play the game that hard-nosed way, that have won in the past, I think will be a good thing for Tkachuk.
Yeah, and the players that brought in will help you.
Take his dad's advice right out of the equation. I'm talking about like guys on the ice that could be like,
hey,
Lewis, let's go.
Listen, Blake is in there now. You know what I mean?
That's right. Even Richardson, right? Even Richardson.
Yeah.
Like I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not. He's not great. He's not. What is he now? But I mean,
he's a face-off specialist at best. But
that's right.
But
I'm glad we kept Brett Ritchie.
But
I gotta say.
But with that being said, everybody was just so angry about losing Derek Ryan, who was a face-off specialist at best.
Yeah.
On the ice, he was a liability. He couldn't stay on the puck. He's not strong enough and big enough. He lost the puck all the time in the corner. Brad Richardson is not going to be that pushover.
Can I say one thing about
he'll punish guys.
He signed for the Oilers, and people thought he was going to go to Seattle. So I'm just going to go out and say, for me personally, fuck Derek Ryan. I thought he was overrated too.
I never once saw what everybody. I mean, he was a good player, and he was good for the team.
Decent.
The story was great. I'll get all that. But what did he do for us? Like
nothing.
Like 12 points a year? Like who gives a shit?
So honestly, to me, like Doc was staging. He was an overpaid fourth liner who was paid as a second or third liner. And
Doc was staging without the tenure for the Flames.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan.
And
you know what I mean? But you're right. Doc, you're absolutely right.
I'm going to just go out and say this because I've said this several times. That play-in series bullshit against Winnipeg, I still think Derek Ryan was our best fucking player. And no points, he wasn't getting points, but every time I saw and this is what he was good at. This is the only thing he was really good at is that he was just always in the correct passing lane and always in the
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So this last year is 52%.
Okay.
Year before is 52.3. He hasn't been that over 55% guy since 2019 when everybody overachieved.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Everybody overachieved, and that's everybody, all of the Calgary Flames fans think that that's who all of those players are.
Exactly.
But they are not. They all overachieved. Exactly. They all played so well. They were playing a very offensive system, and
that's right. And I must apologize to all the Flaming Puck viewers watching this right now. I absolutely lied on his numbers for last year. I said 12. I was incorrect. It was 13. 2 fucking goals and 11 assists. Who gives a shit? Have fun in Edmonton.
That's also fourth line numbers though.
Totally. But everybody's so angry that he's gone. Relax.
No.
We've replaced him with an $800,000 contract and $1 million contract.
Like I said, some people I find as well, because I had kind of a lot of anger pointed toward Brad's true living, and I still do. However, when I took a step back, when I took a step back, I was looking at the reasons why I'm angry, and it's something that I looked at when we looked at old episodes. It's to do with the culture that he's created rather than. Our internet has gone shit at the moment. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry, apologies.
Hey.
Okay, so we're talking about Zadorov and Branson, and to a lesser extent Stone, because we all knew that was coming. But
Zadorov is exciting to me. I really am excited to watch him. When we played Colorado in the playoffs there, he was one of the players that intrigued me.
Yeah,
I know our friend Greg, being a Avs fan, trying to infiltrate all Flames sites that he can.
Yeah, I've been doing that recently.
And he's doing a great job of it, by the way, right? I mean, he just kind of comes in under the radar. Everybody
he's like a little chameleon, isn't he?
Yeah, everybody thinks he's a Lightning fan, so it's funny as hell. But I mean, I know he talks a lot of shit against Zadorov, but I personally, because I mean, he's not a point guy. As he joked about today, he's not on power play.
No,
right?
But
in that interview,
he's a defender, nor should he be a point.
That's exactly. But he's a big fucking dude. He's heavy. He's strong. And I'm excited to watch him behind the net. And I think him and Tanev together, he's going to learn so much from him. It's going to be great.
I was thinking like when I first saw the lines from training camp, which is nothing that anybody should ever freak out about. And I wasn't freaking out about it, but I was.
Are you sure? You posted about it in the Flames Hub.
Yeah,
You brought it.
yeah.
You,
I
you
posted-
brought
I
it
wasn't
up in the
freaking
Flames
out.
Hub admin chat. You brought it up in the Flaming Puck chat. I think you sent me a text message. You video conferenced two people in. It was you were just fucking off the charts about it. Or something like that.
Okay, so a couple of those things may have been true, but
I played the fifth.
something kind of sit back and you're like, okay, training camp. But then today I kind of sat back even more. I want Tanev to play with Valimaki so much. Why is it that I want Tanev to play with Anderson so much? It's because
just don't start. You should stop that recording for a second. We can all.
So we were talking there about just the defensive pairings and how Tanev in the first couple days of training camp, Tanev and Zadorov have been playing together, and how originally I was kind of like, why are they putting Tanev with Zadorov? Tanev should be passing his wisdom on like he did with Quinn Hughes and like he did with Noah Hannafin. He should be doing this with Valimaki and with Anderson. But then I would, after actually thinking about it, he really should be doing it with Zadorov, because Zadorov is the most Tanev-like guy, but way bigger, right? So if you want your defensive defenseman to play good defense, teach him the fuck how.
That's right.
So that kind of makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest knock on Zadorov, is that he can hit, but then he'll get out of position because he's busy hitting somebody. So get somebody.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The Dion
teach him.
Phaneuf disease, right?
Yeah.
Phaneuf never had a guy like Tanev that has that tenure, that has that ability to teach the younger players, and Phaneuf is had a short career out of the league, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about that off air, Chris, didn't we? We were talking about people saying, "Oh well, what the Tanev and Hannafin partnership was great," but like as much as we're putting the pointing the finger and saying, well, Kachuk should be putting up these numbers, Gaudreau should be putting up these numbers. Let's look at the defense. Now it's time. Like Noah Hannafin was a round one player. I mean, he came for, he was part of
drafted what, 6th? Wasn't he drafted 6th?
Yeah,
I think he was drafted 6th, right after 5th, who was Lindholm that year, I think.
Yeah.
So let's be real. Noah Hannafin has a lot to prove this year as well. I mean, like if he suddenly capitulates again without the guidance of Chris Tanev, well then he really isn't, a top 4 or an elite defenseman. So technically, he should have his own line
5th
with Raz or whoever.
Well, I think he's proven already that he's a top 4 defenseman, but I don't think that he hasn't proven that he's a top line defenseman. Never mind an elite defenseman. But
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because we don't have anybody else to do it. We don't have anybody else to quarterback the power play. It's going to be him.
Yeah, I mean he is only 24, right? He's played a lot of games, but people do need to understand he is 24. Like
he's still a kid.
And yeah, sorry, I apologize. He was drafted 5th overall by Carolina. But at 24, he's played a ton of games because he went right in, right? He's one of those players that they just brought right into the league.
But isn't it about time now with those 20 games and the experience that it's like?
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. But what is Noah Hannafin? Is Noah Hannafin a defenseman or a defensive defenseman, or is he a point-getting defenseman?
I think
he's somewhere in between.
I think more so the latter, but I think maybe after last season, I think you're probably looking somewhere more. I think before Tanev came, I think you would be looking at the latter. He was.
That's right. I agree. He was trying to be that point getter. He was trying to be Eric Carlson, which who is that? Who cares, right? One of the worst contracts in the league. He was trying to be that player. Well, Tanev, I think, will teach him how to be both. You know, he can score. He can do a hell of a rush, right? Come up around the side and be a streak and look like a winger.
Yeah.
But he also has a decent stick coming back. Like I think in 2 seasons, like next year, so this year and then next year, Dylan and I will be talking about how Hanifin's stick looks exactly like TJ Brody and how he's able to break up plays and be in position because he's quick on his feet. And I think he'll end up being a positional player, which I think will be super.
See, that's what we're missing right now. And to me anyways.
Yeah. I honestly think Hanifin will be that guy.
Yeah.
I really do. I think this is the year that he has his breakout, even though we think last year was it. But I think this is the year when he actually gets to quarterback a pairing and lead that pairing. You know, whether it be with Anderson or Valimaki.
He can be the leader, exactly. Yeah.
That's right. And I expect good things from Hanifin this year.
Would you agree then, guys? It's do or die time for Raz, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, either that or he's going to be a perennial, third pairing guy, which isn't great at his age and with his pedigree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the great year.
Yeah.
That 1 year, and I'm Rasmus Anderson and Matthew Tkachuk are the 2 players I am not worried about bouncing back.
I'm not either. I think Rasmus. I mean. And I'm going to say it again, and I apologize to Flaming Puck for my thinking, but I truly think that Rasmus was held back by playing with Giordano.
He was
who was too old, too slow, and really trying to do too much for this club. I don't take away what Gio was trying to do. I'm just saying what he was able to do wasn't it. You know what I mean? It just wasn't
this
there.
narrative that there was a void left by the expansion draft, by Giordano leaving. And don't get me wrong, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Giordano elite defenseman.
Absolutely.
But people fucking age. That's how
it's natural.
It's no fault of his own.
Unfortunately, Giordano aged. And he held whoever he was playing with back. That's why I had to stick Tanev with him eventually, because he was the only guy who was defensively sound enough to cover for Giordano's mistakes.
And that's why TJ had to play with him, right? TJ wasn't able to cover up for any mistakes from Hamonic, sorry, thank you. Not saying that Hanemic's not he's not a defensive liability, but their styles just didn't mesh. But Gio and TJ did, because Gio would try his little thing, but TJ was so quick at getting back that he could cover up for those deficiencies and the slowness that became Gio over time, which
we also
it's a natural thing.
All these people kind of, I don't know exactly the people you're talking about, and they know who they are listening. Gio, he's gone, just wanting to complain about something just for the sake of complaining. Listen, these are the same people that were complaining about the stupid mistakes that Gio was making previous to last season in the fucking playoffs against Dallas, when he was flipping the puck overboard and getting a fucking stupid power play given against him just for literally, you know what I mean?
Trying too much.
This is their captain. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was being a fucking idiot, and I'm sorry. It's true. Am I being disrespectful? Maybe. Do I care? No, because it's the truth. You know what I mean?
Well, but either way. So people are saying, we had to fill this void left by Giordano. I think that's bullshit. I think that we would have been a better team with Mackey filling in on
Yes.
the third line, and then having everybody else move up without
Yes.
signing all the guys we signed and getting Zadorov and stuff like that, and using Stone. We could have used Stone, like fucking. He was so good last year, but like there was no void. We were a better team the second they took that money off our books.
Yeah, 100%. 1 million.
Exactly. Unfortunately, he just turned around and gave it to Pitlick and fucking guys like that. But whatever. But like, no, you know what? I hope Pitlick becomes, you know, a decent fourth line guy. I really do.
So,
but for $2 million,
all of these players, you know, the Lewis and the blah 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 blah. We were talking about how some of them are making $750 or $900K or, you know, $1 million or whatever. Tell me what you think about the Eric Goodbranson making $195.
Was that did he double his salary from last year?
Yeah,
something like that. I think
it wasn't quite double, but it was definitely.
I think he was making
close, right?
It was significantly higher.
Yeah.
And he did nothing last year to say, "Oh, hey, I'm a top 6 defenseman," even. Other than
so base. How much did we pay him? How much is that contract again?
1.95 for 1 year.
1.95 to take over the role of Zach Rinaldo. Great.
Zach Rinaldo, the forward.
I know. But just like, what's he truly going to do on the ice? He's there to fight. He's there to.
Well, say more so. Yeah. To take a spot like someone like Chillington's.
Yeah, I'm not saying like take his position, but the role as far as like he's not there to play hockey.
No,
really.
He's there to play a couple of big hits and
Sutter games, right? That's right.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit much. Obviously, I think it's like 2 times the amount it should be.
You can get that for $1 million, not for 2.
Right.
But it's a 1-year contract though.
But you know, we also had that. We had that for $1 million.
So you know something I heard.
But we don't need more defensemen. We've got 10 defensemen signed this year.
And I also got to say as well, we got those players
before any of the kids
come. We still have, before we do leave this podcast, we still have a number 17 in our camp. I just want to say
we have a lot of the 7th D. We have Goodbranson, Stone.
No, we have number 17.
God damn it, Ginger Troll! You're just not listening.
7.
We've gone the entire podcast.
Number 7.
And Ian has not mentioned
the name.
What's his name again?
I'm not number 17.
Right.
Speaking of role players who are making too much money.
Hey, he's gonna be our next fucking captain. You bite your tongue.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Let's make a guy a captain. He's going to retire next year.
At least he'll actually contribute. At least he'll actually contribute something to the team. Unlike
I know he does.
Unlike Baldy coaching.
I love
Sorry,
Luke.
did I say that?
You're wrong.
He's got 3 more years after this one. I'm telling you.
I love Luch at $2 million, at $2.5 million, at $2.75 million. I do not like Luch at fucking 5.
Well, you like your GM, and your GM gave it to him. So what can I say?
No, our GM didn't give it to him.
Our GM actually talked their GM. Our GM. Well, but to get rid of Neil, I would have given them more.
Damn right. That's why that we should be giving them more money just to get rid of that guy.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years later, he's signing PTOs for fuck's sake. Like, who gives a shit?
Neil and Frolik with the same team. I can't even remember what team it was because it sucks so bad.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
But yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Is that Minnesota? Not Minnesota. I can't remember. Who cares? It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Don't get me wrong, Frolik.
Yeah, sorry, Frolik. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind Frolik. I have a lot of respect for him.
I was kind of honestly, I was a little upset watching the playoffs last year, Montreal getting all that way, and getting injuries and stuff, and Frolik's still sitting in the fucking press box or wherever he was.
He's still a serviceable player.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But I mean, I don't think he would have made the difference, but you're right. Just out of respect, I think he should have got a few games at the very least.
Yeah. So where does that leave us? Where are we here? What haven't we spoken about?
I suppose
yet?
we should talk about the captaincy just because we were talking. That's how we should close out. Obviously,
yeah.
You know, we were winding you up, Dylan, about Lucic being captain, but obviously we saw him on the fourth line.
Obviously, I don't think any of us are really serious about that either.
No.
I mean, I am. I pick him over any of the other players we have.
Yeah.
There's two players that I think that are in my mind I'll say two players. I really want Backlund to take a step up, right?
Leadership
and get that letter. Leadership wise, I think I mean, I don't know what goes on in the room, obviously.
He's got it in him.
I really do think he has it in him, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Or Tena, to be honest.
I would personally, that would be my pick. If anyone is asking me my honest pick,
I don't have a pick right now. I don't
really have a pick either.
Can I say why I picked Tanev? Purely because I think a D-man, of the ilk that Tanev is, that's neither here nor there.
I think as far as maturity goes, that's what you want from your leader, from your captain. Is in the heat of the battle, he gets dirty, he does what he needs to do, but when he's talking with the refs, or when he's talking with the guys, like he's just
calm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
yep. That's why like it can't be Kachuk right now because he's too sulky.
Well, he's a pet little spit fuck.
Yeah, and the referees don't respect him in any way. He doesn't get the penalty calls like he used to, right? Because he's too busy diving all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Chucky. We love you, but you're out for that conversation.
I think Sean
smokes too much weed.
He'll be in line if he sticks around. Sean, and again,
would never be.
This is the thing. Like Sean was the candidate before Matthew showed up. He was the guy everyone thought. Well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people thought, hey,
for sure,
this guy is going to be our next captain.
Yeah,
and maybe it was just being overexcited about his goal totals because that's all he ever really did. But and don't get me wrong, that's a necessity. And my God, if he scores 25 this year, that'll be a big help. But
he's not captain.
There's zero, like from what I see.
Yeah.
I'm not in the room. You're not in the room. You're not in the room. But there's zero leadership qualities in Sean Monahan that I see.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Absolutely.
Like he shouldn't even have an A.
No.
Like as far as the top line we've had the last couple of years with Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lindholm. Out of the three, I would choose Lindholm.
Yep.
But I honestly don't. I don't think Lindholm is the leader either.
No,
but out of the three, he is
out of the three. Yeah, exactly.
But he's still not.
And then you take a line down. You got Chuck, you got Backlund, and I mean I'll throw Mangiapane in there, but obviously so obviously I take Backlund out on that line. Coleman. No, sorry, you just got here.
I'm gonna be controversial here. I would like to see. I know he's been a little bitch and whatnot, but I would like to see on Chucky just to see what happens. I really would.
I want to see him earn it. I think
no. I'm not saying straight away. Dylan, because as I said, I prefaced it earlier with saying that I personally would give it to Tanev. You know what I mean? Like if a game is tomorrow, the first game tomorrow in the NHL season, I'm saying for me it's Tanev. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
But I'm saying 5 or 6
So
games, I'm saying let me see it on Chucky.
If you're saying Tanev and I'm saying I could flip a coin between Tanev and Backlund, who do you select for your 2 assistants?
I'm giving 1A to Chucky for sure because I want him to at least
Right.
know that he's in the conversation. You know what I mean? I don't want him to have a complete fucking meltdown.
Yeah, well that's just it.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of the point, right? If you don't give it to him, how's he going to react?
Okay,
and to me, that's not leadership.
Okay, well, I understand where you're coming from there, but I do think he's still done enough to earn it. You know what I mean? I mean, he's done as much to fucking earn it over the last few years as Gio did, leading us to battle to literally nothing.
See, there was a couple years there where he did where Tkachuk, even though he was 19 and 20 at the time or whatever, he was the leader, the heart and soul.
Well, his team fucked him over last year. Let's not forget that. Certain members of that team fucked him over and didn't want him to play Chucky style anymore because one person was getting too old for that nonsense and now he's gone to Seattle. So, again, fuck that guy.
We still don't know. But
oh, well, we don't know 100%, but we pretty much know. You know what I mean? There's an A given to fucking Sean Monahan who literally done what?
I know.
Done what?
Yeah, I know. It's been what, 2? Is it 2 years? The last 2 years or 3 years? I think it's 2 years where Sean has the A and then Tkachuk and Backlund swap between home and away, and I think that's garbage. Personally, myself. I mean,
so the second A would be Chucky, and then I think maybe the third A would be Backlund for sure.
Yeah. See, for me, on the as far as the leadership group is concerned with this club, there's 4 players that I would put in that ilk. Got Tkachuk, obviously. I mean, I do keep him in there because he does have it in him. He is a leader. He's born that way.
For sure.
I've got Backlund in that group, obviously. I've got Milan in that group because I think in the room he is so respected. He's respected on the ice, and he can actually be calm, even though he can kick the shit out of guys. And then you've got Tanev, right? So those are my 4, and I would be okay with. I mean, like I know who I'd rather have, but I'd be okay with any one of them being the captain.
Yeah,
and I would definitely would want nobody else but those 4 to have
I would agree
on them.
I would agree with
start this season. Those are my 4 that I want to see.
I would agree
on them.
I don't want
to announce.
I think the best way, and I know that they already announced that they're not going to have a captain, but I think the best way to go about it is to give all 4 of those guys.
Agreed.
I think
give the A.
Tkachuk, Backlund, Tanev, and Lucy.
Yeah.
Give them, and don't saying like battle it out to see who's the better leader is the wrong way to say it. It's not battle it out.
Right.
It's
not.
Who's going to step up, because you don't want to cause an internal battle, like don't listen to that guy, listen to me type of thing. What you want to do is see who comes out, like let everybody lead, let those 4 guys lead, and then whoever comes out of the woodwork as the one who's organizing all of that.
That's right. Come December, come January
games from now, or in 50 games from now, that's the guy.
Yeah. That's right. When you look at you can put them all as the A and watch the room, right? Who do they gravitate towards? Who do they take their cues from? Who do they really listen to, or who do they shut out? Yeah. Right? Like Sutter will know that. Sutter will know that by mid to late October, but still give it more time, I believe. You're right. Don't say battle it out. What's there to battle out? Leadership? How do you battle out leadership? Right? Just continue playing your game. Know your role, do your thing, and then I agree, 100%, 100%.
I think one thing in Tkachuk's favor, if you see him starting on the first line with Lindy and Blake, I know he'll mix it up a little bit. If Tkachuk can start showing those assists and playing hard in front of goal the way he used to, and just being that fucking pest.
We need more of it.
And if you see numbers rocking up, not just for him, but like for other players because of play that he is, instigating, I think that's how you'll see people gravitating towards Kachuk again. You know what I mean? Because the proof will be on the ice rather than.
That's right. He needs to become Marchand again. He needs to become hated.
Yes.
He drove
hated on the ice.
He's never driven a first line, but he drove that Frolik Backlund line. He drove the absolute fuck out of that line.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Backlund and Frolik both did their part, did exactly what they were supposed to do. But
that's right. But he took them into battle, right?
Yeah.
He took them into battle in front of the net. Like but that's the thing is with that line, he had two willing participants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have to
what
say.
You're saying is don't put him with Monahan and Gaudreau because
Correct.
He won't have willing participants.
Lindy and Blake, I think would be
night.
perfect. I think that would be a great line. I think that's a genius line. I mean, Coleman.
Yeah, we already know. We already know that Lindholm, he's a scrapper. He doesn't mind mixing it up.
Yeah.
And Coleman, he can do it as well.
Coleman, that's Coleman's trademark, right? Like that's why the third line in Tampa was getting all those minutes because guys like Coleman and whoever the fuck else was on his line were the guys who were grinding it out like you would in playoffs. That's why they were getting the minutes in the playoffs because they were playing playoff hockey and
grinding it out in October. You know what I mean? Like I love those guys.
That's a quote from Coleman, actually, I think, from one of the interviews in the last couple of days, saying that Sutter wants them to play playoff hockey in the preseason,
right?
And apparently they're ready to do it. So I don't know if that means win 1 out of 4 games because that's what the Flames do in the playoffs, but.
Do you know who else wants them to play playoff hockey in preseason? Fucking Daddy right here. Tell you right now.
Me.
Like, I'm so sick and tired of watching hockey in March and the first week of April going, these are must-win games. You know what were must-win games? The games that you shit the bed in October and November. Those are must games. Those are must-win games too, right?
Every game we lost against Ottawa last year was a must-win game.
Absolutely. Like, get your head out of your ass, start strong, get going. You're paid a lot of money. Play the game the right way. Play hard, always. Yep. Like, there's no floater games. This is the top league in the world. There's no floater games. Quit it.
There shouldn't be.
Get to work. You're paid a premium.
Oh. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. Because believe it or not, in the AM here, it is 3:30. So for all you guys that are watching this,
there's Ian again, just blaming it on the sun again.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the lack thereof, should we say? But guys, this is
in 24 hours. I'll be 3.5 hours into my shift. So
you'll be 3.5 hours into.
Well, that's okay because I just finished 6 of mine, so I have no sympathy. So I'm taking my well-earned break this weekend.
It's been a pleasure, boys, and we got to do this more often. It's been too long, and we promise to do this more often. We've all had some serious life stuff going on, and we're trying to come back out of the woodwork here. So thanks for all the support.
We appreciate it.
And we've got first preseason game coming up on the 26th of September against the Oils.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna work on my game day routine because I know they are. So I'm gonna be nice and fucking drunk by the time that puck drops.
It's a Sunday, so yeah, game day, bring it on.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, until then.
All right, guys.